On the news, 30 traders feared dead in Kebbi boat accident. Organized Labour suspends proposed strike for 30 days as federal government plans 35,000 naira wage top-up for federal workers. And Chicago State University releases Tinubu's academic records, authenticates certificates. Welcome to News Now on TV 360 Nigeria. I am Simisola Adigun. No fewer than 30 persons have reportedly drowned as the boat carrying over 50 passengers capsized in Yauri local government area of Kebbi State on Monday. Confirming the development to journalists, the chairman of the Yauri local government area, Bala Yauri, said local divers have been engaged to locate the corpses of the drowned passengers in the river, saying over 50 passengers boarded the ill-fated boat and some of them escaped, with over 30 persons still missing. He says most of the passengers are traders from Niger and Kebbi State dealing in foodstuffs and other consumables who met their untimely death in the unfortunate accident. Another witness confirmed that the accident was caused by a heavy wind which resulted in the driver losing control of the boat. The federal government has granted a wage award of 35,000 naira to all federal government workers beginning from the month of September, pending when a new national minimum wage is expected to have been signed into law. This is part of agreements reached after the meeting between organized labor and the federal government in a bid to avert the planned strike action, which was to commence on Wednesday, October 3, as a result of dispute arising from withdrawal of subsidy on the price of petrol. The federal government added that a minimum wage committee shall be inaugurated within 1 month from the date of the agreement. More details in this report.
After about 5 hours of negotiation, Organized Labour and the federal government team have signed a 15-point memorandum of understanding as part of last-minute moves to forestall the proposed indefinite strike, which was billed to commence October 3rd. The MOU was read by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Timon Lalong, on behalf of the federal government on Monday.
The federal government grants a wage award of 35,000 naira only to all federal government workers, beginning from the month of September, pending when a new minimum wage is expected to have been signed into law. 2. A minimum wage committee shall be inaugurated within 1 month from the date of this agreement.
To ease transportation costs, the federal government earmarked 100 billion naira for the provision of high-capacity CNG buses for mass transit in Nigeria.
Provisions are also being made for initial 54,000 CNG conversion kits to kickstart an auto gas conversion program. Whilst work is ongoing on the start of the state-of-the-art CNG station nationwide. The rollout aims to commence by November with pilots across 10 campuses nationwide.
The federal government also plans to implement various tax incentive measures for the private sector and general public.
The federal government commits to the provisions of funds as announced by President on the 1st of August broadcast to the nation for micro and small-scale enterprises. The MSME's beneficiaries should commit to the principle of decent jobs.
On their part, both President of the NLC and TUC agreed to revisit the issue if they are not implemented after 30 days.
Well, there might be some pockets of hitches, which has to do with information flow and probably logistics. Those ones are manageable. But this information through our organs will go down because everybody is expecting our position as at now, because we went to our organs to take mandate to take decision here, and then these decisions have been taken.
We have a signed agreement, and we have signed this agreement with the belief that government will act in utmost good faith. We signed this agreement with the belief that every single item in this agreement are implementable. Every single item in this agreement, we are extremely serious about them. And we wish to also reiterate that we are expecting 100% implementation and not a 99% in any way.
After signing, both parties agreed the memorandum shall be filed with the relevant court of competent jurisdiction within 1 week as consent judgment by the federal government. Tamilore Akinkolia, TV 360 Lagos.
Following the memorandum of understanding signed by organized labor and the federal government, the Senate Committee on Gas has urged President Bola Tinubu to send a supplementary budget to the National Assembly to facilitate the procurement process of the compressed natural gas (CNG) buses for mass transit across the country. The decision also encompasses the distribution of 55,000 CNG conversion kits to initiate an auto gas conversion while waiting for the ongoing construction of advanced CNG stations across the nation. In a statement on Tuesday, Chairman of the Senate Gas Committee, Jarigbe Agom Jarigbe, said it would be legal for the President to make the procurement of the CNG buses without recourse to the National Assembly. He added that it would be inappropriate for the federal government to raise the funds through a special budget and not through the provision of ways and means by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The Chicago State University CSU has finally released the academic records of President Bola Tinubu to his political opponent Atiku Abubakar of the PDP in line with an order of a United States court. The university on Monday presented to Atiku's legal team a cache of documents connected to Tinubu's education at the institution and copies of certificates. Several samples of diploma certificates awarded in 1979 to other students were released by the university as demanded by Atiku. On September 19, Jeffrey Gilbert, a U.S. magistrate judge, had granted Atiku's request and granted the CSU to release Tinubu's academic records within 24 hours. Tinubu had previously claimed to have lost his original certificates but presented a replacement of his CSU diploma to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) for the 2023 presidential elections. President Bola Tinubu has appointed 3 more ministerial nominees and has written to the Senate to confirm their nominations. Senate President Godswill Akpabio read the letter from President Tinubu requesting the confirmation of the 3 additional ministerial nominees when the lawmakers resumed plenary session on Tuesday. The nominees are Balarabe Abbas Lawal from Kaduna State, Jamila Bio Ibrahim from Kwara State, and Ayodele Olawande from Ondo State. In August 2023, the Senate screened and confirmed 45 ministerial nominees and rejected 3 of them. Notable among those not confirmed include former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC), in collaboration with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, has organized its first workshop on local manufacturing of active pharmaceutical ingredients and excipients. In her presentation, the Director General of NAFDAC, Mojisola Adeyeye, says the workshop is organized to create awareness and build capacity for local manufacturing of active pharmaceutical ingredients and excipients. She added that the guidance of photostability testing of new active substances and medicinal products are well understood for effective implementation. On his part, OK Akpa, Managing Director, SKG Pharma, urged the federal government to deliberately and consciously promote API manufacturing in Nigeria.
Understanding APIs and excipients. I will talk a little bit about APIs. Whatever I'm talking about will be just examples. You've got to be very familiar with the analytical procedure. If you don't know how to build your product asset or your drug product asset development, then there's going to be a problem.
Presently, they say that everything we use to make medicine in Nigeria is imported. Somebody will say everything except water. And somebody will add the chemicals to purify the water is important. So the component of the water is important. And each time this is said, we are worried. Because that means that the whole idea about medicine security is a mirage. If we don't secure the base, then we cannot talk about medicine security. We are doing well with finished pharmaceutical products, but the time has come to focus on API.
A coalition of 50 civil society groups with over 2,000 members, led by the Standup Nigeria group, have called on Nigerians to believe and support the administration of President Buhari in his quest to make the country prosperous and peaceful. The convener of Standup Nigeria, Sunday Atta, said this at a special rally for democracy to mark the nation's 63rd independence anniversary in Abuja. According to him, there is the need for the reawakening of people's consciousness to the threat posed to peace and unity by saboteurs who attack every policy of the government.
It is no longer a secret that this is indeed trying time in Nigeria because there is a well-orchestrated campaign of calumny against the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in his effort to deliver and address the issues of insecurity, economic sabotage, and the likes. We must understand that the happening in the country are not a function of ineffective leadership as they want us to believe, but rather the manifestation of high-level disdain and corruption in the high place fighting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for standing on the side of truth and the teeming population of Nigeria.
We are using today to send a very strong message, and I mean a very strong message, to those who are advocating for illegal government, for those who are advocating for coup, for those who are insinuating that democracy is no longer an option for us in Nigeria, that they must desist from saying this. Nigerians have come to live under democratic rule. We will never go back to the dark days of the military junta, and whoever is believing that Nigerians will tolerate any interregnum again from the military is daydreaming.
Political affairs experts have warned that military coups and unconstitutional regime change in the West African sub-region remain viable options for the young and restless unless the underlying causes of the failures in governance are addressed closely. This was the submission of a high-level parliamentary seminar of the Parliament of the Economic Community of West African States taking place in Ghana. Our correspondent Emeka Amako files this report from Winneba, Ghana.
The West African sub-region is currently caught in a glaring crisis that tears at the fabrics of its communities. It finds itself at a pivotal moment in history where the pillars of democracy are being challenged and shaken following the coup in Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Chad, and Gabon, along with the hostilities in Sudan. It's in a bid to restore sanity within the sub-region that this three-day high-level parliamentary seminar of the Parliament of the Economic Community of West African States is being convened in Ghana. In his presentation, the Director General, National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies Nigeria, explained that there is the need to strengthen the role of political parties with emphasis on women, youth, and funding.
Talk of political party when it comes to electoral movement for the majority. But when it comes to decision making, they are neither here nor there. You can't foresee them doing anything. And we still claim to be part of democracy. I think we need to really increase, the number of women participation in politics. Youths are being alienated, as women are being alienated too. They must be allowed to be part of it. And to do that, you must give them some, liberal condition. You don't ask for money from the youth and women for them to be involved in political.
On his part, Benedict Sano, a former Attorney General Ministry of Justice Liberia, was unequivocal in urging the ECOWAS Parliament to place a premium on the youth who are crestfallen and see military takeovers as the way to go.
Many of the young are restless and without jobs and without skills. They want change. It is incumbent upon ECOWAS and all of us to seize the moment and facilitate that change. Otherwise, change will be imposed upon ECOWAS in ways that you may consider as undemocratic. Military interventions have thus far remained an attractive instrumentality for change. ECOWAS therefore must not delude itself into believing that sanctions and threats of intervention will reverse this trend.
Other guests at the event highlighted some of the challenges that are facing their leaders and proposed some of the strategies.
It is very crucial for us to strengthen the legal and regulatory framework that ensures transparency and accountability for free and fair elections, encourage political parties to engage in constructive dialogue, consensus building and negotiations, promoting engagement and collaboration with civil society organizations, and fostering a culture of inclusivity, public participation, and accountability in decision-making.
Stakeholders at the event agreed that although no form of governance is perfect, democracy stands as the best option for nations seeking development in peace and harmony despite its imperfections.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, VAR officials involved in Liverpool era not selected for weekend games. We'll have details of the story and others when we return. Welcome back. A quick recap of some of our stories. No fewer than 30 persons have reportedly drowned as the boat carrying over 50 passengers capsized in Yari local government area of Kebbi State on Monday. Confirming the development to journalists, the chairman of Yari LGA, Bala Yari, said local divers have been engaged to locate the corpses of the drowned passengers in the river, saying over 50 passengers boarded the ill-fated boat and some of them escaped, with over 30 persons still missing. We also told you that the federal government has granted a wage award of 35,000 naira to all federal government workers beginning from the month of September, pending when a new national minimum wage is expected to have been signed into law. This is part of agreements reached after the meeting between organized labor and the federal government in a bid to avert the planned strike action, which was to commence on Tuesday, October 3, as a result of disputes arising from the withdrawal of subsidy on the price of petrol. In case you missed any of our news bulletins or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store and Huawei App Gallery. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. On business, Nigerian manufacturers have expressed fear that the persistent scarcity of foreign exchange for businesses to conduct their operations is now threatening their existence. The former Vice President of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, John Aluya, has urged the federal government to prioritize their industry in order to avert job losses as a result of forex constraint, which has contributed to a spike in inflation in the country. Our correspondent, Sydney Okafo, has more details in this next report.
Without doubt, infrastructural deficiencies, lack of access to finance including foreign exchange, as well as varieties in government businesses, investment policies have wreaked havoc on the country's thriving manufacturing sector. Against falling oil prices and dwindling external reserves, there had been concern over inability of manufacturers to access FX to meet their production and import obligations. These factors have made business operation challenging for manufacturers in Nigeria.
Current forex scarcity has affected manufacturers in so many ways. Apart from the fact that we cannot source this FX, the exchange rate has made it so big for us that what you used to produce for about 100 naira now produced at over 300 naira. This has impacted in our ability to produce more and also the consumer's ability to make purchase. We have a couple of inventories that are lying in our warehouses that we cannot sell because the consumer does not have the purchasing power due to the rising cost of production.
Amid the CBN's inability to provide FX to manufacturers, Aluya says he has no option but to seek alternative through the black market in order to keep business afloat.
Basically, we have now 90% of our requirement now come from the black market, so to speak. And that is just what we depend on, because from all indications, it appears the monetary authority, that is the central bank, did not have the capacity to provide the required amount of forex needed to bring in these raw materials. And if we have to produce without shutting down, we have to source through the alternative platform, which is the black market.
Nigerian manufacturers have expressed fear that the persistent scarcity of foreign exchange for businesses to conduct their operation is now threatening their existence.
It is production. It has increased the cost of production. It has increased the transportation cost of moving material into the open market. So there's a multiplier effect of this forex is that prices have not only tripled, but gone beyond what anybody can imagine. If you have 100 staff and now you cannot source forex, you can't have sufficient raw material produced, and even when you produce, the demand is not there. The only option for you is to downsize.
To this end, manufacturers have urged the federal government to prioritize the sector to prevent job losses as well as address the inadequacy of infrastructure. The ex-VP of MAN also urged the federal government to prioritize local processing of raw materials to increase job opportunities and take necessary steps to ensure ease of trade in the country. Sydney Okafo, TV 360, Lagos.
We'll take another short break. Stock market is up next. Stay with us. Trading on the local bourse ended in the bulls, appreciating by 0.59%, with the market cap standing on the 36.5 trillion naira mark after the Independence Day holiday. That's despite a negative market breadth of 24 gainers and 27 losers. Bua Cement leads the gainers counter with a 9.94% share price appreciation, followed by Better Glass Company with 9.93%. Now, compared with the previous day's trading, investors exchanged a total of 364 million volume of shares valued at over 3 billion naira in 7,537 deals. Now, moving to our select global stocks, the market ended in the bears as the UK's FTSE, the US Dow Jones and Japan's Nikkei all traded low at 0.54%, 1.25% and 1.64% respectively. On the global scene, Niger Republic has begun 3 days of national mourning after 29 soldiers were killed in a suspected jihadist attack, the deadliest since the military took power in July. The attack took place northwest of Tabatol near the border with Mali, which is plagued by fighting with militants affiliated with the Islamic State group and Al-Qaeda. The latest violence comes as the country's coup leaders indicated they were considering neighboring Algeria's offer to mediate talks for a transition back to civilian rule. In a statement issued by the Ministry of Defense, Monday's attack in western Niger involved improvised explosive devices and kamikaze vehicles by more than 100 terrorists. It's now time for Entertainment Reporter News Now.
altercation with a police officer, Nigerian musician Seun Kuti has attested that his life was nearly ruined because of Nigerian keypad warriors all over social media platforms. The singer was captured in a viral video on the internet slapping a police officer after an argument got out of hand. Discussing the extent of the crisis he faced during that period, Seun Kuti in an Instagram live video stated that he came dangerously close to losing his entire career as a result of the incident. Going on, he slammed Nigerian keypad warriors and added that he was only trying to defend himself and his family, alleging that nobody cared at the time. As the entertainment industry keeps blooming, Nigerian music stars Burna Boy and Fireboy DML have shone bright at the BMI London Awards 2023. The duo were among the recipients of the Most Performed Work of the Year awards, which were presented to over 20 songs. Burna Boy's Last and Fireboy's Peru with British singer Ed Sheeran made the cut. Meanwhile, another Nigerian record producer, Richard Isong, also known as P2J, won the Impact Award. And that's all on the entertainment segment of News Now. Okweyemi Owoshieni, TV360 News.
Finally, on sports, the video assistant referee VAR officials involved during the Liverpool and Tottenham Hotspur match, where they wrongly denied a goal in Saturday's 2-1 Premier League defeat, have been dropped from officiating this weekend in the list of officials released on Tuesday. The referee's body, the Professional Game Match Officials Limited, admitted it was the wrong decision to disallow Luis Diaz's effort, blaming human error, and should have resulted in the goal being awarded through VAR intervention. However, the on-field referee from the Liverpool game, Simon Hooper, and the fourth official, Michael Oliver, have both been selected for weekend duties. That's our bulletin on News Now at this hour. Many thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye-bye.